Hello, welcome to Tea with a Druid. This is a Tea with a Druid 362. My name is Philip Cargom, and Tea with a Druid is brought to you by the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. It's lovely to have you here, and as everyone arrives, let's see where everybody's coming from Alaska and Aberdeenshire and Norway and Eastern Canada and Crouch End, Essex, Grimsby, Arizona, Switzerland, Sussex, France, British Columbia, Southern California. Great to see you gathering. Let's all gather together in the circle from Brazil, London, Notting Hill. Yes, this library. I'm in a very special place. Somebody's pointed out the background here. This is a place that is deeply significant to me. It's a place that I came to 55 years ago in Ireland and would meditate with Newen, my Druid teacher, and Olivia Robertson, who went on to found the Fellowship of Isis with her brother, Lawrence Robertson. And they would hold meditations in here every evening, 6 o'clock every evening. And when Newen was coming over from England, he would stay here. And I lived here for a while, I think 9 months and then 2 weeks, and then going backwards and forwards. And I've been coming backwards and forwards ever since. And it's a place of great peace and calm here. And the floor has been reinforced. In Olivia's time and Newen's time, only 6 of us were allowed in the room because they'd identified that the wood was not in good condition and the floor might collapse. So only small groups of people could be in here, but the floor's been reinforced, so it's safe to be sitting here. But if I suddenly collapse downwards, you'll know what's happened. So we have someone from Gibraltar, hello there, and the Isle of Lewis, how wonderful, fantastic, and Ottawa and Vermont, good to see you. Let's just take this time to gather in the circle. Tea with a Druid reaches all over the world, one of the wonders of magic of the internet. And so we can all be here together at this time, meeting in this virtual space. So you might like to just check in and see how you're feeling. Sometimes we can have one unified feeling, and sometimes we can, our body can be feeling one way and our mind can be feeling another way. We might feel really tired, for instance, but we might feel quite speedy in our head. See how you're feeling. Does one feeling come to you, or there are several feelings? And then just, if it feels okay, just type it in to express how you're feeling. There's a way in which by doing that we can feel more present to the moment together here. I'm feeling ungrounded from a trip to the consignment store, says Karasu the dreamer. Overwhelmed, sick, quiet, agitated and exhausted, stressed, content, peaceful, relaxed and open, expansive, gratitude, peaceful and hopeful, tense and afraid, torn, waiting patiently, postal strike, bit buzzy but okay, horrible to see LA descend into violence, tired but sorry, it's going so fast, a bit wired. I feel very inspired after attending the wonderful summer gathering for the first time. A little, it's going so quickly. I'm going to have to freeze them. I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe and I want to get home. Feeling energized after Obod's summer gathering. This is the only way I can do it, is to sort of freeze them as they move. tired from early starts, but very happy, relaxed, frazzled, and deeply thankful for the moment. Emptiness, calm, stressed, busy, but feeling less in control than last week. Happy I managed to attend the summer gathering. Inspired, pretty mixed, tired but content. Alive. Thank you. Let's just. So yes, I'm feeling. Do keep sending them in. That's becoming more grounded, fatigued. I'm feeling rested and very peaceful because I'm sitting in this lovely library, and also kind of full up intellectually because Stephanie and I have been, there was confusion about the dates. We should have been at the summer gathering of the order, but we got our dates muddled up, and instead we had booked to come to this literary festival in Ireland, which is just fantastic. So we've just come out of 3 days of being immersed in wonderful ideas and lots of talks and presentations by very interesting people. So that's how I'm feeling. And I do understand somebody mentioned their concern about what's happening in America. And this is the funny thing about our response to events, isn't it? One of the things that struck me about sitting in this library the last time I was here was how, you may not know this, but Ireland was not involved in, as far as I'm aware, really in the First and Second World Wars. Irish soldiers went over and fought and so on, but Ireland was not technically at war with Germany during the Second World War, and it was neutral, as far as I'm aware. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And I think the same thing applied to the First World War, but I may be wrong. And while I was sitting here one day, it occurred to me that the people who sat in this library will have sat through the whole of these tumultuous events of world wars with the same sense of calm and connection with nature. The two big windows looking out onto the trees out there. And they would have been untouched by the war themselves. Of course, the relatives, friends, people they loved may well have been very touched or indeed killed during the war and so on. But they were sitting in this place, sort of somehow removed from it. It's a strange feeling. So the world is a very difficult place, but there's a way in which we can hold on to our concern for the world and being rightly, I think, troubled and upset by the events that occur in the world. But at the same time, we've got to know a historical thing. I'm Irish. You are correct. Those that fought did so under the British Army. Thank you, Devatara. Yeah, thank you. We can hold on to our own experience and what's called, in a psychological model, our area of control. There's a certain amount of my life that I can control. And then a slightly wider circle, my circle of influence. I can't control that wider circle, but I can influence it by what I write and say and so on. And then beyond that to the wider world, our circle of concern. And when we're able to differentiate between these, some of that stress is taken out. I think it's when we confuse our circle of control, our circle of concern, our circle of influence, that the stress can become unbearable sometimes. Somehow being hopeful and staying calm in the sacred grove. Yes, exactly. And so that helps me. That idea that has been expressed here in the comments helps me into the topic that I'd like to share with you today. Because one of the speakers in the festival that I enjoyed very much listening to was a chap called Mankan Magan, who has written a book called "Listen to the Land Speak." A journey into the wisdom of what lies beneath us, and he's looking in particular at Ireland and the wonderful old stories and the wisdom that lies in the land and in the folk tales and in the traditions of the land. And he's also written Brehons and Brahmins: Resonances between Irish and Indian cultures. And so the reason why I wanted to focus on this is because, and why I've given the title of this tea is, Can I Be a Buddhist and a Druid? Is that there are so many of us, I think, who are interested in what are generally called the Dharmic traditions, Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism too. And for me, my interest in the Dharmic traditions was sparked at exactly the same time as my interest in the Druid tradition. I was very young. I read a book called The Life of the Buddha, and I also met Nguyen, the founder of the Order of Bards, Amidst and Druids, at the same time when I was a kid. And so these two tracks have followed me all through my life. And every so often I've kind of swerved more in one direction, more in another. About 15 years ago, I became fascinated by Jainism because it's less well known, but it's an extremely interesting religion. And what pleased me deeply was discovering the book that Mankind's book is actually based upon in many ways, the Orwin and Brinley Rees's book, which was published in the 1960s. And and what Mankind does is he takes material in that book and in Miles Dillon's book and presents it, strips away some of the material and gives us the juicy bits and more. So it's a great book. If this interests you, then do have a look at it. And it's based on this extraordinary historical fact that it seems that at some point in prehistory, our cultures, which were mainly coming out of Africa, coming up the story of humanity, up around the sort of Caspian Sea area and around the area that is now being so terribly tormented, the Donbass region and all that region there. There's some archaeological remains that are under threat that relate to this early Indo-European culture, and that essentially people went left and right. People migrated northwest from that area, ending up as far flung as Ireland and as far flung by going east as India. And this became this Indo-European arc, the Aryan civilization. Then what happened is a nasty little man with a small moustache, who's called Adolf Hitler, messed it all up by taking this concept of Aryanism, distorting it, and creating a completely specious concept around the supremacy of the Aryans and the origins of the Germanic peoples and so on. And because of that, everybody dropped the whole topic like a hot potato after 1945 and just didn't want to look at it for a very long time. Luckily, the dust has settled and people are now able to separate the wheat from the chaff and to look again at this extraordinary phenomenon, which has been discovered through a study of linguistics and looking in particular at the languages at the two ends of the Indo-European arc, looking at Old Irish and at the Sanskrit, seeing these connections. And it was first twigged by an English judge in Calcutta in the 19th century, who possibly the 18th, who saw these linguistic connections, did a lot of work on it. And so you have this interesting phenomenon, and it's an arc. So you have, for instance, Iran. I didn't know, one of the things I learned at the festival yesterday was from listening to Lankan talking, was that Iran, and William Dalrymple, who's another great historian who lives in India, that Iran is the word Aryan, so that the Iran is included in it. And what I suspect is that you might say, why aren't we looking at differences between, I don't know, Iranian, Persian and French languages and literature and culture and all the rest of it? I suspect what's happened is that when you get to the limits of a diaspora, things then kind of get fixed and crystallized. It's a well-known phenomenon that when peoples are in a diaspora, they tend to be more conservative than the people who are actually in situ, where things are changing more rapidly towards the center, as it were. So this introduces, at a kind of historical, cultural level, this fascinating idea that there are these connections, and you can trace these linguistically, looking at common words like, the Raja for king and the Ri for king in Irish, and all sorts of linguistic connections, the Lear Fal and the Shiva Lingam, commonalities in mythology, and a wonderful comparison between Amidst in Ireland and Krishna, both using this I am style of speech to describe the work of deity. I am wind on the sea. I am ocean wave. I am roar of sea. I am stag of 7 tines, which is what Amidst says on the land of Ireland. And I am the radiant sun among the light givers. I am the moon. I am wind. Of immovable things. I am the Himalayas. I am of all trees. I am the holy fig tree, as Krishna says, and so on. So really fascinating comparisons. So we can look at that, and I'll give you right now, before I forget, we've had a project in the order that's been going on many years called the One Tree Project, where we look at all the connections, and we've got a whole bunch of references, book recommendations, essays and articles and films that you can find in this resource on the Order's website. And we have gatherings called One Tree gatherings, and we've had them in India, we've had them in Britain as well, exploring those connections. Wonderful meetings where we've met with the Hindu and Buddhist communities in Britain, and mixed together with the Druid communities. Fantastic. So let's leave that aside. That's not a rabbit hole. People talk about going down rabbit holes. Of course, it's kind of, they're not rabbit holes, are they? They're fantastic highways to new knowledge and inspiration. But let's leave that channel to one side, which you can look at afterwards. And let's kind of go in to another level now and ask ourselves, what did this mean? I noticed somebody saying, yes, I too have had an interest in the Dharmic traditions and in Druidry and so on. And I know that many people have had these callings. And Lisa's saying she loves rabbits too. Yes. So many of us have been attracted to both traditions, and it means we don't have to feel split. We don't have to feel that our allegiances, that we're somehow confused or divided, or that we have to choose between following Dharmic traditions, following Druid traditions, or European nature-based spirituality. There's a deep connection historically, but let's go beyond the history now to something else. And I think see what you can find when you explore this. But I think what I find when I go inside, as it were, and look at this, is that the connection goes back to something as simple as the breath. Breathing in, connecting to the earth and to the land beneath me. Feeling all of nature around me. Breathing out, being unattached, being free, going beyond form. Breathing in my connection to all of life, to the world around me. Breathing out and letting go. Picking up and letting go. Focusing and letting go. Let's go into the sacred grove to explore this more. The sacred grove itself is something that we find in India, as well as in Ireland and in Britain and in Europe, and actually all through the Middle East. Think of the cedars of Lebanon, for instance. So let's go into the sacred grove now, if we want to, and explore this further in the inner world. So you might like to just Sense where you are now, the four walls around you, the ceiling above you, floor beneath you. Gently lower your gaze or close your eyes. And if it feels okay, you just let your sense of these four walls begin to fade as you become aware that you are already secret. You are already secreted within a sacred grove. The grove is here. You don't have to travel anywhere. It's all around you. These tall trees standing there. How could I think I was in a room when these trees feel so real now, rooted deep in the earth? And here I am, seated on the ground, the good earth beneath me. Friends who have arrived from every corner of the globe who are seated here with me now, seated in a circle, close to the earth. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's breathe in now deeply, opening to the surroundings that we're seated in. I'm breathing out and just letting go of our sense perceptions as we feel ourselves rooting deeper into the earth. Breathing in, gathering our awareness of being fully here, surrounded by the trees and by our friends. And then breathing out and feeling rooted deep down in the soil. And now as our consciousness drops into the soil, we feel all this life, all these roots and connections. And of course, as we tune into the mycelium, to the connections beneath us, the life in the earth, we might even allow ourselves a little chuckle as we think, how could I have ever held on to the idea that there is such a thing as separation? Everything is connected. Of course, deep down, the roots of the Dharmic traditions are entwined with the roots of the Druid tradition, Druid, this ancient Indo-European word for steadfast seer, for oak wisdom, for forest law. Opening up to these connections and these roots, feeling ourselves embedded in the culture of these lands. And this gives us a sense of belonging, a sense of connection. Breathing in and breathing out on this land. And we sense these roots deep down, and they travel upwards to the surface. And as the roots travel towards the surface, they start to separate and to feed just one thing. In this case, these various trees, and they become one thing, these trees. And we sense our awareness moves up above the surface of the earth now as we sense the trunks of the trees around us. Rooted in the earth, coming from the all, from the united into the distinct and the unique. And as we tune into the presence of the trees, see if you can sense the majesty of these trees, their uprightness, their steadfastness. Even the old gnarled trees, the ones that might have been buffeted by the wind and aren't completely upright, nevertheless, they are dignified because they are themselves. They are these unique beings who are yet part of the great network and community of life. And you sense this integrity amongst the trees, their sense of protection around us. And your awareness moves to the branches and leaves above. And you sense the way these leaves drink in the sunlight and the starlight and the moonlight. And these leaves rustle in the breeze. And you breathe in now the energy of the sky. And as you breathe in the energy of the sky, you feel its vitality flowing into you. And you sense the energy of the sky meeting the energy of the earth, within the center of your being. And without forcing anything, you just allow yourself to be aware of how you're feeling. Nothing you need to do, but just open in your awareness. Just noticing, sensing the rising and the falling of the breath. Sensing how you as a conscious being can be both embodied, in form, and yet also tasting the ecstasy of no form. Form and formlessness present in your being, in your consciousness. And aware of yourself as a unique entity in form. Sense yourself now reaching out to the hands to either side of you, connecting now to others, other souls in the circle. Souls from all over the world, holding hands, feeling the solidarity, the strength, the community. In Druid ceremonies, we sometimes say, we swear by peace and love to stand heart to heart and hand in hand. And as we say this, we feel this strength that comes from connection, from community, from standing together. We swear by peace and love, these two powerful qualities, peace and love, to stand heart to heart and hand in hand. Mark, O Spirit, and hear us now, confirming this, our sacred vow. And Mark, O Spirit, is an appeal to this kind of transcendent being. What is it? God, Goddess, Spirit. There's us as a community, and then there's Spirit, which is within us, and yet also perhaps in some transcendent way outside of us. Our appeal to deity. Mark, please hear us. Confirm our sacred vow that we will stand here in peace and in love. Peace as a powerful, active force in the world. May peace prevail on earth. Even amidst all the chaos and the suffering, may peace prevail. May the energy of peace flow from our circle into the world. May the qualities of peace permeate the subtle atmosphere of the earth. So may it be. A squeeze to the hand either side of you. You gently let go of the hands and then move your hands to your heart. May there be peace in my heart. Then move your hands from your heart down to the earth and imagine your hands are resting on the earth, your palms on the earth. May there be peace on earth. A blessing on the earth, a blessing on the land, a blessing on all life. Gradually bring your hands to rest. Become aware of being seated in the circle. Gradually allowing your awareness of yourself and of your body to grow stronger as your awareness of the sacred grove gently begins to fade and you become aware of being seated in your room, the four walls around you, the ceiling above you, and the floor beneath you. When. Yes. I'll just pick up a few quotes here. Thanks so much. June energies seem so much more vibrant and the bird songs more joyous in the grove. May all those who gathered here go in peace and be stronger by the connection. Blessed and blessings all. May nature sustain you until we meet again. Thank you, Jane. Simon, I recently joined Obod to discover this for myself. After studying Buddhism for 20 years, the answer is a resounding yes. Many sutras begin with going to the foot of a tree, much as we enter the grove. Yes, and Simon as well, of course, as we know, the Buddha gained enlightenment beneath the Bodhi tree. He lived in the forest. He encouraged monks to live in the forest. There's that wonderful tradition of the forest tradition in Thailand of Buddhism. Yeah, absolutely. And Mahavira in the Jain tradition, he gained enlightenment beneath the tree too. So thank you so much. Good to see everybody. Karasu the dreamer, feeling much more grounded. Thank you. Great. Good. Okay. Well, if you're in the order, then you're very welcome to come into the hearth, the Druid hearth. Otherwise, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Many, many blessings. Much love. And next week we're getting closer to the solstice. It won't be the solstice quite yet, but we're getting closer to the solstice time. So have a really good week, and see you soon. Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye.